Ms-13 is one of the most violent street gangs in the United States. Federal and local officials agree. Designated a transnational criminal organization with roots in Central America. More than 30,000 members worldwide, up to 10,000 in the U.S., and as many as 1,000 on Long Island alone.
La Diablita, or the Little Devil, as she calls herself on social media, 22-year-old Lenise Escobar was standing trial for quadruple. The accused Ms-13 devoted associate charged with luring victims into a Central Islip Park in 2017, where they brutal Ms-13 machete attack. Prosecutors called 13 witnesses, including several admitted gang members who testified under cooperation agreements. Among them,
the story of Ms-13, one of the most notorious and violent street gangs in the world, spans from its origins in Los Angeles in the 1980s to its widespread influence across Central America and the United States, including New York. Founded by refugees fleeing civil wars in El Salvador, Guatemala, and Nicaragua, the gang grew through brutal violence and alliances with powerful criminal organizations. In New York, Ms-13 has left a chilling mark, with one of the most infamous cases involving Lenise Escobar, known as La Diablita. Escobar was convicted for her role in luring 4 young men to their tragic end in a horrific 2017 attack that shocked the Long Island community and highlighted the gang's terrifying reach.
Ms-13 is one of the most violent street gangs in the United States. Federal and local officials agree. Designated a transnational criminal organization with roots in Central America. More than 30,000 members worldwide, up to 10,000 in the U.S., and as many as 1,000 on Long Island alone.
We have about 500 identified Ms-13 members here in Nassau County. Out of that 500, we have 215 that are active.
How do you identify who is an active member?
The number one is self-admitted. So they'll be all tattooed up, Ms-13, I'm self-admitted. They do the signs. When they get arrested, they ask them, are you gang affiliate? Yeah, I'm Ms-13.
Law enforcement says the gang first came on their radar in 2010, but they started to see an uptick in gang violence in 2015. According to intelligence, that's when leaders of Ms-13 in El Salvador made a concerted effort to grow and establish new branches of the gang, so-called programas, in different pockets of the U.S., including the affluent suburbs of New York City and Long Island.
Ms-13 was founded in the 1980s in Los Angeles by refugees from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Nicaragua fleeing civil wars. Initially a small gang known as Mara Salvatrucha Stoners, it evolved into Ms-13, engaging in violent conflicts with rival gangs like 18th Street. Inside prisons, Ms-13 aligned with the Mexican Mafia, gaining protection and adopting the number 13 to symbolize this alliance. In the 1990s, U.S. deportation policies sent thousands of gang members back to Central America, where they rebuilt Ms-13, expanding its reach in El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. As governments cracked down, overcrowded prisons allowed Ms-13 to grow even stronger, leading to widespread extortion, drug trafficking, and violence.
In a bulletin, the NYPD put out this alert for officers living in Suffolk County. Members of Ms-13 are looking to hit NYPD police officers, specifically in the Brentwood Central Islip area, as well as possibly Patchogue. The bulletin says that the gang members would carry out the attacks on off-duty officers in order to gain street credibility. And while the threat has not been substantiated, law enforcement experts say this cannot be taken lightly.
Good evening, I'm Dana Tyler. We'll start tonight with that developing story. A major crackdown on a notorious gang on Long Island. At least 40 men, alleged members of the Ms-13 gang, arrested on a range of charges, including conspiracy and assault.
Well, Dana, the Nassau County District Attorney says this was the largest mass arrest of Ms-13 gang members on Long Island. It was a collaborative effort between the DA's office, the Nassau County Police, Gang Investigation Squad, and Homeland Security. And law enforcement authorities say that this is a huge step in eliminating this violent transnational gang. Ironically wearing a T-shirt touting strictly good vibes only, suspect Frank Maranta says he was shocked to be among dozens arrested this morning for alleged involvement with the Ms-13 gang.
It's news to me.
Maranta says he's not in a gang.
By the early 1990s, The group known as La Familia in Freeport had evolved into a more organized gang focused on Salvadoran pride. This changed when 4 members of the Mara Salvatruch's Francis Locos clique arrived from Los Angeles. Their influence led La Familia to transform into Familia Mara Salvatrucha, the first Ms-13 clique in New York. By 1991, new members like Hormiga and Cato began to carry on the gang's legacy. After the Los Angeles members left, Familia Mara Salvatrucha expanded beyond Freeport into nearby areas like Westbury, clashing with African American and Puerto Rican gangs. Around the same time, more Ms-13 cliques began appearing across Long Island, many of them independently. In Nassau County, gangs like Central's Locos in Freeport and Mineola Locos Serenos in Mineola emerged, while Suffolk County saw the rise of Islip Locos, Salvatruchos, and others. As Ms-13 spread, established cliques like Familia Mara Salvatrucha extended their reach, with the Westbury Familia Mara Salvatrucha forming under a leader known as Shorty, solidifying the gang's growing presence across Long Island.
Today, jurors are set to resume deliberations in the trial of a woman accused of helping the MS-13 gang. 4 young men. Federal prosecutors say in 2017, Lenise Escobar, also known as La Diablita, allegedly lured 5 men to a park in central Islip to smoke marijuana. When they got there, the victims were attacked by gang members with machetes. 1 ran off. The other 4 prosecutors say the victims were targeted for disrespecting MS-13.
Survivor Elmer Alexander Artiga Ruiz told the jury through an interpreter, La Diablita lured us to a park to smoke marijuana. We were soon ambushed by MS-13 gangsters. 8 or 9 covered their faces with sweaters, told us to get down on our knees. They had weapons, machetes. I jumped on a fence and stone wall, ran for my life. One shouted behind me, "Hack him." Thank God I managed to get away. Mary Chris, good afternoon. A chilling federal trial filled with heart-stopping evidence, photos, gripping testimony, surveillance phone calls, sobs in the courtroom. 4 weeks ago today began jury selection. Now, fewer than 4 hours into deliberations, a unanimous guilty verdict on all counts. La Diablita, or the Little Devil, as she calls herself on social media, 22-year-old Lenise Escobar was standing trial for quadruple. The accused MS-13 devoted associate charged with luring victims into a central Islip park in 2017, where the brutal MS-13 machete attack. Prosecutors called 13 witnesses, including several admitted gang members who testified under cooperation agreements, among them Kelly Gomez, a best friend of the defendant, who described how the 2 girls coordinated the killings in order to curry favor within MS-13. Lenise Escobar's boyfriend, whose gang name is Cruel, was a high-ranking member. Why were these victims chosen for slaughter, say prosecutors? Because they posed on social media disrespecting MS-13. A 5th victim testified he escaped that night under a full moon, running for my life, chased by gangsters shouting, "Hack him." In a recorded phone conversation played in court, Lenise Escobar tells her boyfriend in coded language,
4 sujetos ya no están aquí, no sé si van a volver nunca, jamás, ¿me entiendes? Se fueron en el tren anoche, ¿me entiendes? A eso, ¿me entiendes? De la cierta hora, ¿me entiendes? Que vos sabés, uno de ellos no, ¿me entiendes? He knows. So now I'm in trouble.
relatives and friends came to court to support her.
God is good. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Everybody, God bless you.
Her cousin spoke last week.
She was a young girl who had a difficult life, not having a father, not having a mother, being abused physically, mentally. She was a very smart girl.
Lenise Escobar, also known as La Diablita or Little Devil, has been found guilty on all counts for her involvement in the brutal deletion of 4 young men on Long Island in 2017. At just 17 years old, Escobar played a key role in luring the victims to their demise at the hands of the notorious MS-13 gang. The 4 victims, Justin Levicura, Michael Lopez, Jorge Tiger, and Jefferson Villalobos, were hacked with machetes and other weapons in a central Islip park on April 11, 2017. Escobar invited the 5 men to the park under the pretense of smoking marijuana, but they were ambushed by MS-13 members who believed the victims had disrespected the gang on social media. While one managed to escape, the others were deleted in a gruesome attack that shocked the local community. Their bodies, bearing significant trauma wounds, were found the next day in a wooded area where the gang had tried to conceal them. Prosecutors revealed that Escobar bragged about her role in the deletion to fellow gang members. She even destroyed key evidence, including a blood-stained sweatshirt and her cell phone, which she threw from a car while being followed by police. Escobar's actions, motivated by a desire to gain status within MS-13, were highlighted as a central factor in the deletions. During her 2022 trial, a witness testified that Escobar not only smiled as the men were deleted, but also licked blood off her lips. Despite her defense team's argument that her motive was never clearly proven, the jury convicted her on charges of deletion and racketeering. The case has drawn widespread attention, not only for its brutal nature, but also for the involvement of MS-13, a violent gang that originated in Los Angeles and has since spread to Long Island. More than a dozen other gang members and associates have been charged in connection with the deletions. Escobar's defense team continues to challenge the conviction, arguing that prosecutors failed to prove her intent to rise in MS-13. However, the judge maintained that the jury was justified in concluding that Escobar orchestrated the deletions to retaliate for the perceived disrespect shown to the gang. The case of La Diablita and the brutal deletions she orchestrated underscore the violent legacy of MS-13, a gang that has spread its influence far beyond Los Angeles, reaching Long Island and beyond. Despite efforts to contain the gang through deportations and crackdowns, MS-13 remains a persistent threat. Lenis Escobar's conviction serves as a stark reminder of the gang's ruthless methods and the devastation it brings to communities. As law enforcement continues to combat MS-13's influence, the story of Escobar and her victims serves as a tragic example of the gang's lethal hold on vulnerable populations.
Police arrested 3 accused members of the violent MS-13 gang for machete attacks in Nassau County.
It was just after midnight Saturday night when Westbury homeowner Barbara Calabro says she heard loud bangs outside on Dover Street.
I called the police after I heard 4 gunshots. It sounded like gunshots.
Nassau police say Calabro was right. They found several bullet casings on the street. Police showed the 9mm weapon they seized from 3 alleged MS-13 gang members now under arrest. Detectives charged the trio fired the weapon near a 19-year-old man standing in front of his home after first slashing him in the stomach with a machete. Police say the attack began after one gang member asked, "Why are you laughing?" And the victim responded, "I can laugh at anything I want." Nassau police are also charging the 2 Hernandez brothers with an earlier machete attack in January on nearby Kinkle Street in Westbury, where they left a 19-year-old with a severe 4-inch gash across his face. The 2 attacks in Westbury have shaken residents.
In April 2017, law enforcement officials in Nassau County made significant progress in their crackdown on gang violence with the arrest of 3 individuals in Westbury, Long Island. Among them 2 alleged members of the MS-13 gang, a group known for its violent activity across the region. The arrest stemmed from 2 separate machete attacks earlier that year, which authorities quickly linked to gang retaliation and territorial aggression. The first incident occurred on January 15, 2017, on Kinkle Street. The 19-year-old male was approached by the Hernandez brothers. During the confrontation, Jose Hernandez allegedly attacked the victim with a machete, leaving a deep 4-inch gash across his face. The second violent encounter took place on April 16, around midnight, on Dover Street. Another 19-year-old male was approached by Fidel Hernandez, who questioned the victim's behavior. According to authorities, Fidel struck the victim in the stomach with a machete, while Jose pulled out a firearm and fired 4 shots. Fortunately, none of the bullets hit the victim, and the suspects fled the scene on foot. Following an intensive investigation, police apprehended all 3 suspects, Jose and Fidel Hernandez, as well as 18-year-old Miguel Urias Arguenta, on April 18, 2017. Fidel and Arguenta were arrested near Railroad and Magnolia Avenues, and Jose was caught later that day at Broadway and Sherman Street. All 3 men were charged with attempted deletion and weapons-related offenses. At the time of their arrest, authorities stated that all 3 were born in El Salvador and believed to be in the country illegally. the investigation revealed that the suspects were affiliated with Ms-13, a transnational street gang with a notorious reputation for brutal violence, especially in parts of Long Island such as Brentwood, Central Islip, and Westbury. In the legal proceedings that followed, Jose Hernandez pleaded guilty in January 2019 to 2 counts of attempted deletion in the second degree and was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Fidel Hernandez also took a plea deal, admitting to criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, which resulted in a 4-year prison sentence. Miguel Arguena's case proceeded separately, with similar charges levied against him.
Gang, along with their associates and drug suppliers, were arrested following 2 federal grand jury indictments as announced by the Justice Department and the Metro Gang Task Force. These arrests marked the culmination of a 3-year investigation into one of the most notorious gangs in the nation. The U.S. Attorney's Office secured indictments against 20 defendants, charging them with various drug and firearm-related crimes. Simultaneous arrests were also made in Los Angeles. The investigation also uncovered drug distribution extending into a California state prison. According to the indictments, Ms-13 gang members Gerardo Lopez, aka Clever or G-Man, 31 of Denver, and Jose Garcia Sanchez, aka Catracho, 26 of Aurora, were key figures in a conspiracy to distribute. The distribution took place on the streets of Metro Denver and within California's High Desert State Prison. Some defendants are also facing charges of illegal firearm possession.
4 MS-13 gang members have been arrested and charged with. Houston police say these 4 men stabbed Victor Castro Martinez to death, Marlon Miranda, Wilson Ventura Mejia, Miguel Aguilar Ochoa, and Carlos Enrique Torres. They are 18 to 33 years old. Castro Martinez's body was found in the woods in southeast Houston back in June. Authorities say they believe these suspects could also be tied to at least 7 other. A press conference now getting underway where more arrests may be announced.
11 members of the notorious MS-13 gang have been arrested and charged with 5 deletions committed in the Houston area over 2 months. The brutality of these crimes should shake any decent person, said Mayor Sylvester Turner. The first of these violent deletions took place on June 6, when 4 MS-13 gang members lured one of their own to Cullinan Park and fatally attacked him with a machete. According to Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo, Castro Martinez met his demise because he was suspected of associating with a rival gang. His burned-out car was found on June 8 near a retention pond in northwest Houston. 2 additional MS-13 members are suspected of involvement in the June 6 deletion. They are currently in custody in Liberty County for their alleged role in the July 3rd of another MS-13 gang member. On August 1st, police discovered the body of a man in a field in the 5300 block of W. Fuqua Street in southwest Houston. Investigators believe he was deleted in Galveston before his body was dumped in Houston. 3 days later, 4 Ms-13 members fatally shot 25-year-old Johnny Torres outside La Union Mexican restaurant on Wilcrest Drive. Surveillance footage revealed that an argument inside the restaurant escalated into a targeted shooting as Torres exited the building. Police confirmed that Torres had no affiliation with the gang. Authorities arrested a 17-year-old who allegedly drove the getaway car, along with a 20-year-old and a juvenile suspect. On August 9, investigators found the body of a teenage girl who had been reported missing in May. Her remains were discovered in the same area where the August 1st victim was found. While the girl was not a gang member, she had ties to MS-13. The deletions occurred between May and August 2018, underscoring the gang's violent presence in Houston. Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo stated that there are approximately 400 known MS-13 members in the city and around 800 in the region. With an estimated 20,000 gang members in Houston overall, MS-13 remains one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in the area.
U.S. Attorney General Michael Mukasey visited Charlotte to announce a major crackdown on Ms-13 gang members across North Carolina. The operation resulted in the arrests of 26 alleged members who now face a total of 55 criminal charges, including 4 counts. Mukasey's presence underscored the significance of the raids, which took place in several locations throughout the state. One of the raids occurred in a quiet, working-class neighborhood off Scalabark Road at the Southgate apartment complex. Ms-13 members are considered some of the most violent gang members in Charlotte. Many of those arrested had prior records and had been released in the past. However, with federal authorities now handling the case, convictions could lead to sentences of 20 years or even life in prison. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, CMPD, and the FBI executed arrest warrants at Southgate early Tuesday morning, catching suspects off guard by raiding their homes before 5 o'clock. Shortly after, additional arrests were made at Victoria Lake Apartments on the east side of the city and off Margaret Wallace Road. Law enforcement spent hours tracking down remaining suspects as part of the coordinated operation. Attorney General Mukasey stated that the indictment alleges that 26 defendants engaged in criminal activity to protect and expand Ms-13's power, territory, reputation, and profits. The charges against the gang members include 4 deletions between Charlotte and Greensboro, large-scale drug trafficking, armed robberies, and other violent crimes. Court documents describe a pattern of brutal initiation rituals, territorial disputes, and violent confrontations at clubs and other locations. Within Ms-13, gang members often gain status by demonstrating extreme violence, which allowed them to move up the ranks. However, with 26 arrests now completed and more expected, authorities believe they have dealt a significant blow to the gang's operations. Ms-13's presence in Charlotte has been well documented in the past. Gang-related graffiti was found at the Southgate Apartments near Scalabark Road, signaling the gang's influence in the area. For context, Ms-13, short for La Mara Salvatrucha, originated in the 1980s as a merger of 2 violent groups from El Salvador. The gang was formed by Salvadoran immigrants in the United States and has since expanded.
The transnational criminal organization MS-13 face charges dealing with racketeering conspiracy, which includes things like drug distribution and the allegation of 7 in Nashville between 2016 and 2017. Officials worked to get these 9 members of MS-13 off Nashville streets. These are the members that have been indicted. This isn't the first major indictment dealing with the MS-13 gang. Back in 2017, 13 members of the gang were charged and convicted with racketeering offenses.
Get your hands up there!
That's Kevin Tidwell after running from Williamson County deputies, Brentwood police, and U.S. Marshals in a high-speed pursuit.
Crawl out towards me!
Tidwell is one of the 9 members of the MS-13 gang named in the federal indictment, accused in the 2017 Jesus Flores in Antioch and the deadly shooting of Amarillo Garcia Munoz in a Murfreesboro Pike Strip Mall parking lot, both within a 6-day period. Additional include that of 19-year-old Jorge Alvarado, found shot to death in a field in South Nashville. 18-year-old Liliana Rodriguez, on I-24, the shooting death of a man whose body was found in the trunk of a burned car in Cheatham County, and the death of Yerry Gabina and Hector Gabata at a South Nashville apartment complex. Investigators believe at the hands of Oster Delgado Flores. Investigators saying Nashville's streets are safer tonight, but that this is just a step at booting the gang from our community.
9 members of the MS-13 gang have been indicted for multiple violent crimes, including 7 deletions, kidnappings, assaults, robberies, and large-scale drug distribution. Attorney for the Middle District of Tennessee, Mary Jane Stewart, stated, MS-13 is one of the most violent, ruthless, and cold-blooded gangs to ever walk the face of the earth. Authorities reported that an MS-13 subunit, specifically the Thompson Place Los Salvatrucha clique, had been operating in Nashville since at least 2014. One of the earliest crimes linked to the gang occurred on April 6, 2016, when MS-13 members, including Jose Pineda Casas, lured Jorge Alejandro Potter Alvarado to a secluded field in Davidson County under the pretense of smoking marijuana. Believing he was a rival gang member, they confronted him before shooting him multiple times and leaving him to die.
Good evening. Liliana Rodriguez, or Lily for short, just graduated from Hunters Lane High School this past May and was enjoying the summer with her brother and friends when the unthinkable happened.
Liliana, her older brother Rodrigo, and their friends enjoyed a night out at La Mansión Club on Antioch Pike.
That day she's so happy.
she never made it back home.
I did notice a car trailing behind.
Rodrigo was driving as the four of them left the club.
Car pulled up next to us and, I heard a bang.
Thinking it was nothing more than an engine backfire, the group kept going. But Rodrigo said he noticed the vehicle trailing them was beginning to act aggressively.
Once we were getting close to the split between downtown and our exit, I heard probably like 4 or 5 more.
That's when he realized they were being shot at.
Lily's friend.
On July 31st, 2016, 18-year-old Liliana Rodriguez met her demise in a drive-by shooting on Interstate 24 West. That night, Pineda Caceres and other MS-13 members attended a South Nashville nightclub, where they suspected another individual of being a rival gang member. After leaving the club, they chased the suspect's vehicle on the highway and fired multiple shots, deleting Rodriguez, who was an unintended victim. Pineda Caceres later fled the U.S., but was arrested upon his return in November 2017. On January 18, 2017, Jorge Flores and another MS-13 member attempted to delete a man identified as RV and 3 others in Nashville. They chased RV's vehicle from a Walmart parking lot, cornered it, and opened fire, hitting RV multiple times. A month later, MS-13 members planned to delete 2 rival drug dealers, victims 6 and 7, along with an MS-13 associate who had connections with them. On February 18, 2017, the gang pursued their victims for miles, shooting at them and into a crowded South Nashville nightclub. The following week, they shot one of the victims in the neck and torso, causing life-threatening injuries, but police intervened and provided medical aid.
New this morning, the search is on for several gunmen after a man was shot in his car. This all happened at a strip mall in South Nashville off Murfreesboro Pike this morning.
All of this unfolding around 12:30 Sunday morning. Multiple people called 911 on reports of hearing that gunfire. Officers responded to a parking lot at a strip mall on Thompson Place at Murfreesboro Pike. They found a man in his car who had been shot multiple times. This is near the Sheba restaurant and Memories Hookah Lounge.
On May 21, 2017, Amerly Josue Garcia Munoz was gunned down in a strip mall parking lot after MS-13 members mistook him for a rival gang member. Similarly, on May 27, 2017, Jesus Alberto Flores was deleted in a drive-by shooting in Antioch. MS-13 member Kevin Tidwell had earlier argued with victim 11 at a convenience store. Later, Tidwell and another gang member followed him in a truck, firing shots with an AK-47 and a 9mm pistol, ultimately deleting him. To cover their tracks, they burned the truck in an abandoned field. The indictment also includes multiple instances of kidnapping and brutal assaults. On June 17, 2017, MS-13 members confronted a man at a nightclub who had falsely claimed gang affiliation. They summoned additional members, leading to a violent altercation. One of them retrieved an AK-47 and fired a warning shot before forcing the victim into a car and taking him to a secluded location, where they beat him. On July 25, 2017, MS-13 member Gerson Serrano Ramirez kidnapped and tortured a man whom he accused of cooperating with law enforcement. Serrano Ramirez choked him with a rifle strap, sprayed bleach in his eyes, suffocated him with a plastic bag, and broke his finger with pliers. On September 24, 2017, Luis Miguel Colindres Varela deleted Jose Pagada at a South Nashville nightclub, suspecting him of being a rival gang member. To ensure there were no witnesses, Colindres Varela also deleted Yeri Hernandez Gabino, one of Pagada's companions. That same day, MS-13 members lured another victim to a meeting in Nashville, deleted him, and burned his body in the trunk of a car to eliminate evidence. These indictments mark a major step in dismantling MS-13's operations in Nashville.